Welcome to STEM Online, brought to you by the Tomball Public Library, a branch of the Harris County Public Library System. My name is Miss Kelly, and today we will be exploring chromatography, which means we will be learning about chromatography, doing a hands-on science experiment, and making a craft out of our science experiment. Chromatography is the process of separating a mixture to discover what is in it. Chromatography is a laboratory procedure. There are a lot of different chromatography methods, but today we will be focusing on paper chromatography. This is an example of paper chromatography, where scientists use special paper to help identify what's in an unknown mixture. Scientists will apply colors to the mixture they're trying to separate, put the mixture onto their special paper, and then place that paper in a liquid solvent. The liquid moves through the paper, starting from the bottom and moving up to the top. As the liquid moves from the bottom of the paper to the top, it takes parts of the dyed mixture with it. This separates the mixture into different colors, which helps scientists identify the different parts. Chromatography is useful to many jobs because it helps people figure out what a mixture or object is made of. Scientists, archaeologists, art historians, and many others all use chromatography in their work. Now that we know a little bit about chromatography, let's see it in action to learn more about it. First, we need to make our science experiment. You will need coffee filters, cups or jars, markers, and water. The first step is to lay your coffee filter as flat as you can. Then, use your marker to draw a big, bold circle around the middle of the filter. Make sure to leave a large circle in the middle that's not colored in. You will get the most out of this experiment if you use multiple colors and multiple coffee filters to test it out. When you finish drawing your circles, fold the coffee filter until there's a point at the bottom of it, and then carefully put just the point into the water. Try to keep your marker ink out of the water. Let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes and then carefully pull it out of the water to let it sit and dry. While it's sitting in the water, watch it and see what it does. Here's my experiment sped up. Because it's sped up, you can see the water clearly rising from the bottom to the top of the paper. This is called capillary action. Capillary action is the ability for a liquid, like the water in our jar, to travel through tiny passageways in certain objects, like our coffee filter, and other kinds of paper. Capillary action makes paper chromatography possible because the water carries the dye with it as it moves. The dye that's applied to the parts of the mixture that weigh less will rise up towards the top of the paper, while the dye that's applied to the heavy parts of the mixture will only rise a little bit and stay towards the bottom of the paper. When the time is up, remove your coffee filters from the water and look at all of the colors that have shown up. Set them up to dry and look at all the colors. On my green circle, I see mostly blue with some yellow at the very top. This means that the green marker's blue ink dye is heavier than the yellow dye because the yellow dye traveled further up the coffee filter. On my black circle, I see a lot of blue, but above that there's a much darker color, almost black, and above that there's a little bit of orange. On the purple, I see a lot of pink, mixed with a little bit of a purpley blue color. Our chromatography experiment has told us a lot about what colors are mixed to make one single marker color. This helps us to better understand how these markers are made. When you try this experiment at home, the dye in your markers may react differently, so make sure to keep an eye on your science experiments. Now that we're done with our science experiment, it's time to create. We will use our dried science experiments to make chromatography flowers. You will need a fully dried science experiment, a pair of scissors, some sticks from outside, and tape. The first thing you'll do is cut your chromatography experiment to look kind of like a flower. I basically just cut kind of a wavy circle and try to leave out as much of the undyed coffee filter as possible. Then you'll take a stick and poke it through the middle of the filter very gently. Next, gather up the base of your flower and pinch it, and then apply some tape going around the bottom of it to make sure that it sticks to the stick. This is how you make a chromatography flower. After doing just one color, I made a bunch of chromatography experiments using multiple color circles on one coffee filter. This one was purple and green, and it turned out really cool. I also used all of my chromatography experiments to make a whole paper flower chromatography bouquet. And it looked like this when I was finished. This is a list of the websites that I used to create this video. Thank you for joining me for STEM Online, brought to you by the Tomball Library.